Okay, so that kind of brings us in, and now, Sue, really, this is all about you, and I think this is probably the right time to talk both about CliftonStrengths, what it is, how it works, what it measures, and then we can talk about how important, say, the restorative strength is when it comes to running those immediate countermeasures. So I don't know how we're going to attack this. We got some stories in here, but this is about organizing your people for their best and highest use.
Well, I'm a CliftonStrengths geek, so let's just get that on the table so everybody knows where I'm going with this whole thing. I took the CliftonStrengths assessment probably, 15 or 20 years ago. And what I've found out over time is, one, it's just an assessment. It's like any other assessment when you're talking about, whether it's DISC or Myers-Briggs or Predictive Index or Colby, any of those that come in and try to measure something about the human form. The CliftonStrengths measurement is the one that I tend to lean into. I'm a Gallup certified strengths coach, so I get it more than I get the others. The big thing about the CliftonStrengths assessment is the results that you get. You can see this DNA kind of line where the 10 marks on the left-hand side are really the top 10 where you live, whether you live as an executing person, whether you live as a relationship builder, as an influencing person, or as a strategic thinker. So that's kind of your top 10. The other 24 are the ones to the right. The ones in the middle are kind of those things that you might go to on occasion, but it's not really where you live. It's not really the person that you are. It's not really how you show up at the table. It's not how you give and get information. And then the probably the far third are the ones where if you were to read the descriptions of those themes, you would be going, oh, that is not me, that is not me, that is not me, right? Well, if you look at it, every single person, if they took this assessment, they would have this DNA strand, and the chances of you having the same DNA strand as somebody else is literally 1 in 34 million. So when we want to say that our people are individual, all you have to do is look at the results, because the chances of seeing the results your results the same as anybody else is going to be entirely different. So I go back to my civil days, right? If you're going to build a job, you're probably going to need an excavator. You probably need a couple of excavators, different sizes with different size buckets, with different attachments that go to each one. You may need a fleet of scrapers. You may need a fleet of trucks. You probably need a water truck. You're going to need some pickup trucks. You're going to need a grader. There's a menagerie of things you're going to need to build this job. Same kind of thinking with the people, right? You're going to need a menagerie of people to build a job appropriately for all the things that you want to do. You may have an owner who is let's call them high maintenance, right? We all like to call them that. You may need somebody that is very high in the relationship building way of coming to the table to be able to hear what that owner has to say, build that relationship with them so that you can talk, knowledgeably and easily, without any combative nature, talk through differences. You might be working on a job that has a huge community outreach effort where you've got to meet with people on a regular basis and talk through what's coming, what's happened, things like that. You may need someone that has more of an influential background where they can tell people in large groups and help get them on the same page, right? Help them to understand things together. Again, a lot of times people with that are in areas or divisions, things like that, those that have a bit more of a strategic bent, where they're looking at multiple resources and they're looking at multiple ways to use them, how to put them in the right plan to get to where you want to go. So there's a lot of different ways that people present themselves at the table. The nice thing about the CliftonStrengths, the 34 report that shows kind of this is who you are. If anybody wanted the guidebook on how to talk to you and how to really kind of figure out who you are, I find the Clifton Strengths 34 report being, kind of just that. Those top 10 themes that you have, the DNA strand on the left here, it actually tells you not only how you can lean into your strengths and how you can be fabulous using those strengths, it also helps to tell you some of the blind spots that others can see that you don't when you lean in pretty heavily to those. So there's a lot that can be done. There's a lot that can be learned. There's a lot that can be taught in groups, in teams, to help people see what their best asset is that they're bringing to the table, and help them to have it's all about communication, right? Somebody has to be able to hear you. You have to be able to understand what they're saying, and you have to be able to understand what that information actually means. Had an interesting situation happen one day. We had someone who was working on a training guideline, and they had written it up, and it was looking really good, and they had sent it to one of their managers, to several managers, right? Because they were trying to get some feedback on what was going to work, what wasn't going to work, and the person who had sent the information over happened to see one of the managers in the hallway and said, "Hey, so what did you think about the training manual that I sent over?" And he goes, do you see any changes? Is there anything I need to know? And the manager just responded. He goes, "Well, I don't care." And needless to say, the "I don't care" came across very differently to the receiver of that conversation than it was meant from the person who was talking. The person who had asked the question, one, didn't ask a very good question, right? Two, was asking it knowing they wanted to get a bunch of contextual answers, right? Things that they were looking for, some very definitive feedback. The person they asked happened to be high in adaptability, which is a very go with the flow kind of person. So that what this manager was saying wasn't that he didn't care about the product. It's that he didn't care how it got rolled out. None of that mattered to him. He would go with whatever came across his desk. So funny how just a very short conversation that literally in 1 minute, I happened to watch it, in 1 minute, it fell apart. And luckily we stopped it, got him in a room and said, "Okay, whoa, 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 let's back up." Somewhere this conversation went off the rails. And so we backed up and talked about, the better questions and how we could really get this across. And within about 5 minutes, they were back on the same page. Everybody really understanding, kind of where they were headed with the next iteration of this training guideline. But it shows you how quickly you can go off the rails, how quickly things can go south, whether it's with your own team, whether it's working with an owner, whether it's working with, some other trades, working with your suppliers. It can go off the rails very, very quickly if you don't understand how you disseminate information and how others might be hearing it. So there's a lot to be said for the clarity of that. So, David, I don't know if you wanted much more on that, but I was going to jump into this restorative strength quick, and then we can come back if you have some more questions on this. So the
No, that's perfect, and I think this one's interesting just because this is some insight into what we are looking for when we start to, and what anybody should be looking for when you kind of set out to make some improvements, and you need takes a village type of thing, and they
That's
can't all
right.
look the
That's
same.
right. Yeah. So in this particular case, a person that would have these top 5 themes, the 34 are all called themes. These are their top 5. So this is where their greatest strength can come from. But also to know that your greatest strength can also be your greatest weakness if you lean too hard into it and not realize, that others may not have that same strength at the top. So somebody with restorative strength, I mean, you just think about it. They want to restore things. They want to fix things. So first and foremost, if you're talking to people and you've got a friend of yours and you're chatting it up a bit, and they tend to go back to just words and communication that talks about going back and fixing something, restoring this to where it was, making right the thing that is broken. You probably could be hearing the restorative strength. So if you are at if there's go back to the immediate countermeasure, right? If you have got a backhoe and you have just dug up a water line and pulled it right out of the ground and there's water gushing everywhere, chances are somebody with their restorative strength is going to go, I need to fix that, right? That's going to be their first thought. They are going to most likely, certainly looking at this person's strengths, they're going to go to their number 3, which is a ranger. They're going to say, well, how do I move this equipment around? How do I move these materials around? What's the best way to get this stuff in order to be able to fix the problem I have at hand? Number 4 is analytical. They're probably running through some quick measurements, some quick analysis in the background in their head, going, okay, I'm going to need 4 more people. I'm going to need this many lengths of pipe. I'm going to need somebody to go down and shut off that water main. All of those things, they're thinking of those in the same time frame, but they're always thinking about getting the problem resolved, right? Fixing that issue. And then that number 5 being responsibility. If there was say this is your foreman, if there was a general superintendent there saying, hey, go get this done, the foreman most likely said, yes, I will. And so their responsibility says, I have said I'm going to get this fixed, therefore I will get this fixed. So this is a person who is going to be, let's just face it, hell-bent on getting this issue taken care of as quickly as they can in the most in their own mind, and the arranged and analytical version of that is how could they get the resources and the materials and the people all in place to get this thing taken care of in the quickest amount of time. And they've probably done that math. If somebody asked them, they've probably said, this is going to take me 90 minutes to 2 hours to complete, because they've already done the analysis in their head. So this is somebody you would hear, you would see, you would actually be able to watch this person work and maybe be able to figure out that these were some of the strengths that they brought to the table. So somebody you definitely want around if you've got an immediate countermeasure that needs to be done. They're going to be able to attack it quickly and thoroughly.
And this is actually a real person, and an amazing individual. And what's cool is the combination of these in the top 5, for being head of field operations and looking at it and going, okay, obviously when we have a problem in the field, it's a very immediate problem, like you said, a utility strike, a major impact on a job site, unfortunately sometimes a safety incident. That has to be, when you hit that escalation button, when you call that from the field, that is what you need Superman essentially to show up. I mean, that, and to be able to solve it. At the same time, then, really high developer of people, right? Let's go develop people. I care about the people. Let's develop them. Let's make it happen. Good arranger, like you said, of like, okay, this person should do this, and how you do it. Some analysis. If this thing keeps happening, what system do we have to put in place to go through there and solve this into the future? And responsibility of, okay, if I said it'll be done type of thing. And that, so it's a really great combination for that. And realizing though that it's also gonna lean heavier towards the routine, the management quadrant of that. And so, and that will be somewhat in conflict with the person that's over there going, I hear you, okay, but to solve that problem, we got to put this thing in place, and it's going to take a couple years, and then it's going to start going out, and there things are going to be wrong, so it's the magic is getting all of that to go work together. that is the magic of the team, right? So you need all these different people that have these different strengths, and then you need some people that are great, like, and that's like your strength, and like you would fall in that category. You're like a people integrator. You're great at pulling together all those disparate personalities. I go into dictator mode of like, how about you do this, you do this, you do this. Like I'm an ops guy. you know, you use a lot of the tools. So just so you guys know that when I'm talking about the tools, it's very left brained when I'm talking about the tools. Sue feels the tools and she actually gets it right. So just know that when you're hearing me talk. But that's what you're looking for in a team, especially as you scale, is you need all of these different people working together and recognizing the different people's strengths
Yeah,
and
and
everything. And so like on this,
well, I was going to say this,
oh,
this
good.
is what you're talking about. Also makes me think about, when you're looking organizationally, and certainly when you start getting into the in scalability, like a 4, right, for a contractor. When you start looking at this, luckily you've got those people that can think more long term, strategic, looking at how long it's going to take to do things. Others are more like, tell me what needs to be done now and my piece that I can get in now. All of that goes along with an organization's culture, right? With their mission, their vision. Have they done a strategic plan, and how are they going to put that strategic plan into place on a year over year business plan? And every single person with every level, whatever their level of strengths looks like, has a place in an organization. Some are just at different levels than others, based on just background, expertise, knowledge, all of those things. But I just look at it, if you were going to come in and do an estimate and you wanted to have all of the thoughts in there about how this job should actually be estimated, you would not take the same person to estimate the same type of jobs over and over and over and over again all the time, because now you get no diversity of thought, you get no diversity of action, you get the same answer all the time because they just don't know anything else. Here you can get everybody in their best and brightest, right? In the role that is success at that level for the strengths they bring to the table. So there's a lot of ways to use this to help the teams develop that kind of strengths forward thinking.
And as you're talking about that, this is one I didn't even plan on this, but if when we're starting an improvement project with the company, there's obviously start with what the objective is and everything, but we start with like developing the team. We have a kind of a checklist of questions of the types of people we're looking for, and we'll start with an interview process of interviewing these. Usually it's maybe 40-ish people or so to narrow down to an improvement team of 6 to 10, depending on the what we're going after, and we're looking for a variety of different types. So first of all, email or call or something if you want that list. It's not perfect. We'd have to probably talk you through it and everything. But in general, we're looking for those people that like, who are your really high producers, your people that hit the target 10 out of 10 times. And for some stages of growth in the company, it'd say like, that needs to be all the people. You don't need to talk to anybody else. And then we say, who are the people that are really crazy creative, that are coming up with some really wild ideas, and some of them totally don't work, and some of them are absolutely brilliant. You just can't tell the difference between the two. And who's a person that a lot of people would point to say they had a meaningful impact on their development over their careers, and who are the developers of people, and then you need the Johnny Appleseeds that spread the idea, like, hey, who's your good socializers, who are your good communicators, right? And and if you have somebody like me at the top of the organization or something, that's more left brain, I'm like, yeah, he's an all right person. I just don't need people like that. They talks too much, right? But as you go through stages of growth, you need people that can do all those things, right? And usually those conversations, the right person, it's not just that they're jabbering at the water cooler about nonsense or something like that, or negativity or anything. No, I mean they're having very systematic conversations, and you watch them, they're shaping the whole organization into place, just nudging it along. They're not always on the org chart as leaders, but they are definitely connectors. And so we're looking for a variety of different personality types, which all show up obviously in the CliftonStrengths and a variety of the other psychometric tests or evaluate. They're not tests; they're just evaluation of their tools. That's all they are. They're not. It's not like a pass fail or anything on any of these things. And so, though some people would want to use it that way, so I'd say if you're talking to anybody that is using it as a pass fail, just end in the conversation. I can't say that in a better way. Obviously, if there's like 34 million combinations or something like that, then there's not the one right combination to be a project manager or something like that. So anyways, when that we can definitely talk through what we're looking for, and it's a diversity of people. And then when we're interviewing, we are looking for their ability to get along with others, to reasonably get along with others, knowing that there will be rubs. There will be a rub between somebody that is a high restorative and a high strategic. And there's just no reality that there will not be a rub between those two people, because they are working on two totally different time spans. There's going to be a rub between somebody that's a high developer of people and a high arranger versus somebody that is just like super high on execution and accountability and responsibility and like all of the E type of words, because they're like, why would you need any of that?
Yeah.
Just do your job. So there's going to be these natural rubs, and we're looking for people that can reasonably see past those things and, get along. And that's what actually makes the change happen within the organization. So anyways, yeah, definitely reach out if you want to talk through that. I guess we geeked out on that enough, Sue. But bottom line is people are really important to the whole improvement process. So let's move to some very tangible, how do we make some of these improvements? How do we make prioritizing small continuous improvements, how do we make it a very tangible, workflow tool that you use? And so we're going to cover two really quickly. One is called fill or kill. And that gets its terminology from the stock market, where you put in a bid to go buy a certain amount of shares in a company at a certain price by a certain time, and it's a fill or kill. Like it's either going to be filled 100% or we're going to kill it, and we're not going to go through the order. But so that's the background of the name. But what it is, it's really really simple. Is you're getting the team of people around to identify just little things that bug them. I mean, these are not major things. These are not saying let's go enter a new market or something like that. These are just little things that end up bugging you. I don't know. I'm just looking around my office right now. I got a dozen little things that just bug me in my office. So, one per Post-it note, like Sue, Sue's rules,
Yep.
one per Post-it note. But what you're doing that's a little bit different is you're forcing people to clarify it and say, here, I see this improvement, this bugs me, it's this tool, we could use a checklist, whatever. These are all small things that probably, I'd say, should be no more than 8 hours to actually make the improvement. Somewhere between, 15 minutes and an 8-hour type improvement. If it's bigger than that, put it somewhere else, we could talk about that. And then you're going through with the team and you're getting them to actually share what those ideas are, what kind of bugs you, and everything like that. And then Sue's like, yeah, that bugs me too, right? Now you're starting to get people, communicating in a line, and you just put them on a little board of, here's the things that we've identified. Okay, cool. Here's the things that we're now working in progress that we're actively working on to fill. And then here's the ones that got filled, and here's the ones that got killed, and just setting some rules around like, okay, if something's on the board for more than 30 days, obviously I don't have enough emotionally invested in this thing that's bugging me. I had enough emotionally invested in it to go put it on the Post-it note, but I don't have enough emotionally invested to spend an extra half hour at the end of the day to fix it. Like I'm keep looking over at my inbox over there. Yep. It's been that way for 3 months. It bothers me every day I look at it. I just don't have the emotional, I'm not ready yet to clear it all the way out. But there's a few cool things psychologically that does. One, it gets people in the habit of doing it, because if I told Sue I'm going to go now, well, shoot, now I guess I told everybody that I'm going to clean up my inbox, so I guess I better do it. But so there's that psychological thing, right, that I've committed to doing this. But then there's also this kind of loss aversion thing of I'm going, like, if I haven't made active progress on this thing in 30 days, we're just going to move it over to the kill column. And it doesn't mean it's dead forever, but it means that I'm going to have to take the energy and write it on out again on a Post-it note or something and bring it back up and say, yes, Sue, I promise I'm going to lose that 20 pounds this year, not last year. I know I've said that 6 years in a row, but I'm going to do it this year. And And again, these are just, I mean, I'm kind of laughing and joking about it, but this should be fun. These are not major things. This board should be kind of a fun board that starts to eliminate a bunch of these little small details. Jeff Bezos calls them paper cuts. That's what they call them inside of Amazon. And it's like, the teams that are focused on the really big initiatives, the strategic initiatives, you don't want them, they should never slow down to go work on the paper cuts. But if those paper cuts persist, it's like, I think Muhammad Ali had a quote that said, it's not the mountains in front of us that tire us out or something, it's the pebble in our shoe. And so these are the pebble in the shoe things. And so it generates like it shifts internal locus and locus of control from external to internal. I can do this. And you start, at the end of a week or month or whatever, you start putting the Post-its that are in the filled column, you start putting them into a container and the killed ones, and you start seeing these things grow over time. It's actually a pretty neat thing to keep up, but the team won't keep doing it usually themselves. It takes the manager. As you say, Sue, it's the manager. It takes the manager that goes through and does the work and generates the excitement, and keeps things going, and nudges people along to do that, and stop other people from hey, go take the 15 minutes, just go clean that thing up. You can kill the Post-it note, or you can put it in the filled column, and so there's so many little things from that, and that builds momentum for other stuff. So it goes hand in hand with what in the kind of lean body knowledge they call the 5S process. If you look it up, it'll be most commonly under 5S, but some companies have shortened it down to 3S, some have expanded to 8, whatever it is. But it's the basically saying at a certain time on every shift, usually the beginning of shift, we are going to take X amount of time. So it's a time boxed activity, and we are going to do these things. We're gonna sort things that are in the area. So meaning that if it should be in the area, it's there, and if it should be off the site, like say on a job site, don't let the inventory build up until the end of the job when you demobilize. If it's no longer going to be used, get it off the job now, sort it out, and then set things in order. That might be organizing, and staging materials and equipment in the right area on the job site. That might be setting up your tools and getting just the tools that you need in the work area for the tasks that you're going to do, and having those all lined out and making it very visibly clear when those tools aren't there. How many times have you set out to go do something and you don't have the right tool, and because you can't find it? And shine it, just clean up the space, but polish things up. And a lot of times there's a lot of value, especially with equipment, of just in the process of cleaning the equipment, you can find little hairline fractures, you can find little leaks, little things like that you can fix well before they become big problems. Standardize. Take some time, make a quick little checklist, and it doesn't have to, checklists don't have to be this like super, big deal. It can be a piece of cardboard in a job site trailer that's got 5 things on it that's just a reminder for that particular job or something like that. And then the sustainability is like you're continually running your PDCA cycles. You're checking against your standardization, and you're continually doing it. So it's, these two tools, and usually they go together. So maybe at the end of your 5S and once a week or something, you come together and you look at your fill or kill board, and that's what starts to build this capability. Again, you can't continually improve your way. There was no continuous improvement from the horseshoe factory to the Henry Ford factory. That is not a continuous improvement type of change. So be aware that you can't continuously improve your business through all the stages of growth. There will be changes you have to make to your strategy, your management systems, and your structure, but the continuous improvement, it must be constant throughout. What did I miss, Sue?
Well,
if anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure you missed anything, but I just really want to put an emphasis on the 5S, right? And like David was saying, it's really anything. It's the stuff sitting in an office. It's the stuff sitting at your job site. It's the stuff in the parking lot. It can be specific to safety. It can be as general as these inside these walls, right? But it's really creating that habit is what's sustaining the whole thing, right? Is creating that habit. But you'd be amazed at how many times when you sort through things and just put it in order of just the extra stuff, You just find that you just don't need. And the more you do it, the more you're going to find of things you probably just don't need. So,
So I have a qualifying question on that one for you, Sue. I struggle with ever throwing out a package of Post-it notes, especially the ones that are hard to find colors. So does this same 5S apply to Post-it notes and the pens? Pens, I'm a big pen geek on the different colors of pens that might go with that.
well, I believe in sorting my Post-it notes. They are in
Oh,
order.
okay.
I shine them up all the time. They are usually the standard size. And then I just always have them. Now, if I get
Okay, all
down
right,
to
fair.
one, I will, like there's literally one sticky left on here. I will find a reason to use it because it hurts my heart to get rid of sticky notes. So,
You can't throw it out. Okay, all right, cool. I just want to know if there was limits to that. Yeah, I'm also looking over, and I have they are sorted, they're organized, and they're in all the different colors of 3x5 index cards, two different sizes of Post-it notes,
yeah.
all the colors and everything. It's funny as it sounds. Those are. I never thought when I started out as an apprentice, I never thought I would actually be geeking out over Post-it notes, but whatever. let's let's move on before it gets really bad.